Before we get very far into our next story, we do have a warning for you tonight. What you're about to see and hear may not be suitable for children. Tonight, take a walk in their world.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Transpicuous News. It is March 15th, 2018. I've been awake literally for 15 minutes and a half a cup of coffee, but I have to talk about this, okay? So we have this huge amount of bizarre rhetoric being pushed out into the media right now. It started about 3 weeks ago. And quite frankly, 3 weeks ago, I went and checked up on it and realized it was complete crock of bullshit. So I kind of just was like, meh, whatever. I ignored it after I made my one little statement on Facebook and a few other places and just said, I've ignored it. But this week, it's back and it's really pushing hard because now the mainstream's all over it. Massive solar storm is about to hit Earth. Oh my God, it's going to knock out the electrical grid. It's going to destroy satellites. Oh, it literally. Okay, I went through this morning because I saw one article yesterday that popped up for me. And I'll get to that one in a second. But woke up this morning and I saw this and was like, okay, we got to talk about this. Okay, USA Today, massive solar storm may hit Earth this week. News.com in Australia, geomagnetic storm caused by cracks in the planet's magnetic field set to hit Earth tomorrow. This huge solar storm is headed towards Earth, could knock out our satellites, cause blackouts, and trigger stunning light displays. Solar storm could strike us at any moment. What you need to know. That was Fox News. Then we have got the Mirror in the UK, which is like almost the equivalent of the sun in Canada. Massive solar storm slamming into Earth could cause power outages. Okay. It just goes on. This is the one yesterday that I saw. It was like, whoa, wait. So this is, of all things, zero hedge. And I don't know, I mean, all of these media outlets, these larger ones, they have their well and true share of trollish, shillish, shall we say, articles. This one is so made up of bullshit that I am shocked to hell and back that Zero Hedge would have published this. Massive X-class solar storm to slam Earth tomorrow could cause power outages, satellites, blah, blah, blah. Okay? This article is full of nothing but bullshit. A solar storm caused by an X-class solar flare never happened. Directly facing towards Earth tomorrow is likely to hit tomorrow. The brunt of the activity will be in the higher latitudes, blah, 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 blah. So I thought, okay, well, they just, obviously whoever wrote this article either just made a mistake. They didn't mean X-class flare. They couldn't have. It must be a typo, even. Except that, no. Here we go. Down at the bottom, here's the X-class flare was the first of two, according to NASA. It is the largest in 2018, could be well as large, the largest in the sun's current cycle since 2007. The arrival of the storm could leave commercial flights and GPS systems vulnerable to disruption, blah, 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 blah. Okay, whoa. And they quote Russia. All the articles 3 weeks ago were like, news is coming out of Russia. Massive, massive geomagnetic storm is coming. Oh my God, fear porn, fear porn. Okay, so I use the Russian site all the time. It's my #1 go-to site for getting information because their site is really well laid out. So let's just take a look, okay? We are looking right now at the geomagnetic forecast. We got jack shit going on. Okay? Let's look down here. This is the 27-day forecast. There's the 18th. This is the storm that 3 weeks ago they were trying to tell everyone was about to slam into the earth. Okay? It is a G1. A G1 storm is the lowest level of geomagnetic storm to be rated a storm. Okay? Now, let us look at solar flares. Okay? Let's go to flares here. There are no flares. There have been no flares. Not only has there been no X-class flares, there hasn't even been a C-class flare to be seen. I think I went back as far as the last C-class flare was around the 3rd. Let's just, let shits and giggles. Let's spin through here. Look, oh look, no flares. No flares. There hasn't even been, oh look, there's one. Oh look, it's almost a flare. It doesn't even reach a C-class. Let's jump over here to the 1st. Yeah, that was the highest activity we've seen so far. Okay? No solar flares. None. The sun is a dead stick right now. There isn't even a sunspot visible. Okay? We do have a coronal hole directly Earth-facing, which has picked up the solar wind stream. But this isn't even a big hole. It's like it's a mid-size coronal hole. We've seen coronal holes where almost the entire equator of the sun was gone. Okay, so we have, like I said, started 2 to 3 weeks ago with this big push trying to say the Russians are saying we're going to have this storm, and it wasn't true. Now we have this push by mainstream media saying, oh my God, there's going to be this massive storm. It could take down our electrical grid. It could, Now, this is not unusual because we see this kind of stuff all the time. We see this kind of article at least once every 6 months where we get a warning. Oh, our electrical grid is really, really open to being taken down. It could be a Carrington level type event, could take our entire grid down, our GPS, blah, blah, blah. And I always call it and say, okay, it's fear porn, people. It's just fear porn. Just fucking walk away and ignore it. But there's something a little different this time. There's something a little bit different this time. And the reason I'm saying that is because in the background, if you will, there has been a lot of talk of some kind of let's call it, some kind of an event happening at some point in time this month. And I'm not going to get into the who, where, what, why, how. But it seems to me that when we see this kind of information come out like this is being played like a very large distraction. Now, what I also find interesting is we're looking at politically right now one of the biggest upticks in massive bullshittery going on in the news. We have the UK threatening Russia, giving them a 24-hour ultimatum. Come on, peoples. We have the US and Russia. We have Russia making big fucking announcements this month of, yeah, we got a bigger stick than you do. And we're kind of sick and tired of your American games. And we're getting to the point where maybe we're going to have to use our bigger sticks than you have. It's a big ass fucking distraction, I think. So, the distraction. What is it distracting from? Well, like I said, there are those people here and there who have said that we could see something very interesting happen this month, next month, over the next few months. If you set up a story in advance about a massive geomagnetic storm happening with lots and lots of news stories about how we're going to expect really cool northern lights, Is that a distraction so that anything that is seen in the sky can then be fluffed off as like, oh, it was just that massive geomagnetic storm. Nothing unnormal about this, nothing to look at. It's just some flashy lights from the geomagnetic storm. Is that what it is? Is it a fact of we have some crazy, crazy shit going on everywhere and they're just trying to distract us from anything they possibly can to keep people from putting pieces together? Because literally the news has gotten that criminally insane. Could be. I want to toss out, though, I want to toss out a hypothesis. And before I get into this, I'm going to tell you that this is an extremely wild, weird, way, way, way out there hypothesis. What if this is about the geomagnetic storm is a setup for something that they are going to do? Now, this came to me last night while I was sitting there reading the Zero Hedge article going, this is just outrageous because it's all fucking bullshit. How can you publish complete and utter bullshit unless there's a reason for publishing the bullshit? So what if we have a planet that is so in debt right now on personal levels as the individual people are carrying the highest amount of personal debt ever, corporate debt, and of course country debt, which is still corporate debt, but you get what I mean. They have the highest debt. The debt is so big and so deep and so tall, as I keep using my Dr. Seussisms, it cannot ever be cleared. The derivatives exposure, we are talking, there is no possible way ever, 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 ever for this debt to be cleared. Now the big boys, they have to know this. They all know that there's no fucking way in the world that this debt can ever be wiped out. Or paid, not wiped out, paid off. It's unquestionable. So what if you need an excuse to get rid of the debt? What if the excuse you find that maybe you want to use is, of course, that one that they've been setting up for years now of the whole, an EMP, a complete disruption to the communications, et cetera, et cetera. So what if they're going to stage something? Stage some kind of an event where basically, for the vast majority of the public, all they'd have to do is turn the power off for a few days. There'd be utter chaos and mayhem and all the rest of it. But then the power comes back on, communications come back up, and then they go, oh, there was a terrible, terrible geomagnetic event. All of our records have been wiped out. We don't know who owes what anymore. Whatever shall we do? Oh, gee. And then, of course, you'll have like a couple of weeks of bullshit talks of like, oh, well, so what we're going to do is we've just finally decided that the only way we can figure this all out is we'll just zero the debt across the board. Across the board, all that debt will just be zeroed out and we'll start fresh again. I told you, it's a really, really far-fetched hypothesis. But the other thing into this is, I said it back in December, that I strongly feel that the quintessential they are setting up Bitcoin to be the new financial global basis point. We know that every country in the world is launching their own cryptocurrencies. We know that this is going to be happening probably in the next year. Many, many rumors are now flying that most of the big banks have already got established their positions, shall we say, within cryptocurrency world. So what if they come back after this so-called blackout and say, oh, all the financial stuff is all dead. The only thing that's left by nature of the fact of how it's been built is the blockchain. So from now on, all finance stuff is going to be done on the blockchain, and we're going to use Bitcoin as our financial marker, if you will. Interesting. Very interesting. I said, far-fetched, but I wanted to put this out there for people to think about. And this comes into Cliff High and what Cliff High had to say when he talked about his latest linguistic and emotional things that he's gathered up. Pardon me. That there would be an event in March, that there would be another event in April, around April 20th, where people would feel much better about their finances, where there would be a certain sense of economic, financial freedom, very positive outlook for people that's coming through. I don't know. I just wanted to throw it out there for you guys. But yeah, according to what is being said, and by NOAA, by NASA, by TSIS in Russia, there is no massive geomagnetic storm coming. It's a little teeny one. There's been no X-class flares. That article in Zero Hedge, complete and utter bullshit. I have no idea where they got their information from, but whoever wrote that one really should be cross-examined quite heavily as to what their agenda is, or who paid them to write the article. As with all things, be aware, be prepared, and be calm. Right, people? Just be calm. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say for today. Wanted to drop that little bug in your ear. And I'll be back again really soon. Bye.